welcome to another episode of Test, Optimize, and Scale. Very excited to have John Gicewicz here today, as well as Sean Knight, founders of the GRYLD CHEEZ project. Backgrounds in marketing, creative design as well too, but excited to learn more about everything that you gentlemen are doing. Thanks for hopping on the podcast.
Awesome. Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Jason. Thank you.
Excellent. And would love to learn more about your story, how you guys started working together, and overall backgrounds.
Go ahead, Sean. You can start.
Okay. Hi, Sean Knight here, and I've been working with Jonathan on and off for about 20 plus years, and we both kind of do the same thing, but I have an agency out here in Northern California called the Yak Group, creative design, branding, logos, web development. John has the same thing with his company, JAG Design, and we started looking at this whole blockchain world, and started looking at developing a project that really was kind of our vibe. And Jonathan hit me up in March, John? Is that when you hit me up? It was like,
yeah.
He was doing a design for another crypto project, and I was dabbling in it back in 2017 with Bitcoin and Litecoin and messing around with it here and there. And, as web developers, we started just, peeking into it, looking into it. And then we both developed, we have a developer we work with where we more hands-on in code. John and I are pretty more on the creative side and, creating the user experience. And we decided we wanted to design a token and develop a DeFi token back in March that kind of resonated with kind of our roots and where we came from in the Grateful Dead scene and the band Fish. And there was an experience there in parking lots and a lifestyle that, our first set of currency in this DeFi space outside of crypto was literally grilled cheese, trading grilled cheese for other things, whether it was for 5 grilled cheese for a t-shirt. So we really had fun with making that kind of analogy to this token and built a cheese token on the ERC20 to have that kind of festival experience with music, and just started really looking at that in our mind to build out a utility, and what was that utility going to be called. And then as we launched, we launched, and we found ourselves launching and kind of doing the traditional route of social media marketing, in the sense that we set up a Telegram, we set up a Twitter, we started just trying to push it out there and really just understand this DeFi space and this Web3 world and the blockchain, and really just figure out how could we be a part of the music relationship experience and the blockchain world, and where do the two merge. And so as we launched this token, John, what do we speak to 7 or 8 different production companies and bands and all kinds of
By the way,
nonprofits?
that's Cheese Token, CHEEZ token.com.
There we go. And we were just trying to talk with different, artists and musicians of what does this crypto space mean to you? What is it, because there was all the hype at the time, so.
And we also didn't want to be another token, what they call a rug pull token. We wanted to sort of put a little heart and soul behind it and a meaning, and, try to connect with these people and do something with it. And we're still working on utility now, and we're sort of morphed into this grilled cheese aspect, and that's sort of taken on a life of its own. The cheese token is still trading now. We've still got holders in that right now, which is great. We'd like to get more transactions on it, but we're working on the grilled cheese aspect, which is the NFTs and the posters, and integrating that cheese token to sort of make it this little community that sort of hits with the music industry and people in that genre. So it's been kind of
absolutely.
Go ahead, Sean.
with what, my background is merchandise, and heavily was building shopping carts way early. I was probably had a shopping cart online and back in 91. It took 6 months just for the merchant account. Banks didn't even know what a online merchant account was. So it was really interesting. So I'd been in merchandise and clothing and apparel for years. So I looked at this relationship very part of the experience of the collectible item, whether it's a concert poster. And so John and I started talking with a lot of different bands, and what is that experience, of getting a poster, and how does that physical poster, could it translate to an NFT? And so right now we're building out we're about to start selling a poster in another few weeks here, a boxing poster. We're just doing it internally. It's a boxing related poster with our NFT kind of collections, which we've designed these musicians and characters to look like cheese chunk heads. We call them the crypto chunks. And the first issue of boxing is Vitalik and Cardano. What's the name? Hoskins, right? John, what's...
if you go to...
Charles.
Go to GRYLDCheEZ.com. So that's GRYLDCheEZ.com.
Yeah, so it's
see what those
Charles...
posters look like.
So Charles and Vitalik are first. It's Battle of the Block, right? So that's our first, boxing physical poster. So we wanted
Creative Mysterium, Creative Cardano, absolutely.
They're going at it. So we wanted to make sure, we wanted something that was culturally significant, right? We got crypto and boxing. It's all the rage. I don't know where it came from or why it's happening, but it's really interesting. So we wanted to create a poster series so that we could, drop one of these a month and sell like 250 of these physical, but then have a QR code that they could redeem an NFT for once they receive that. And then so that's where our direction is with merchandise and music, is that collectible space, and attaching that physical collectible, whether it's a music good, to an actual NFT, and then kind of gamifying that experience. And with Cheese Token, we've partnered up with Dance Safe, and which is a nonprofit music related charity group. We're really interested in really having this whole experience to be very similar of what happens when you go to a festival. You see the tents of all the nonprofits. You see this experience over here. So we're trying to kind of create that same ecosystem. So, selling the poster, and then where does that poster go to that NFT, and get them into that, ecosystem of the grilled cheese ecosystem. And that's what we're looking, to do with our 3 different products. And our third product is the crypto chunks, just selling NFTs with that are related to each crypto chunk looks like a musician. So we have like a Snoop Dogg and a Lizzo, and we have like a Jerry Garcia. We even have one named Jason Fishman, a drummer from the band Fish there. So.
There you go. That's actually my dad's name, not my father, by the way. But
so, and so we're trying to create this experience where, we're using these musicians to have that first entrance into, a whole series, a whole collectible series. And so really excited about how that look and how those have come out. And, really, I'm super stoked the way the project's going. This Web3 world, and, we wanted to understand it as developers, so we felt this was a good way to kind of learn, because it's learn every day something new's happening. I woke up yesterday to find out that Photoshop's jumping into, Adobe's jumping into the NFT space and giving. So it's every day something new. It's been, John's it's the Wild West, right? So
it's the total Wild West, that's for sure.
So.
Absolutely. I first heard the term Wild West when I was in mobile advertising, still the early days of digital advertising and mobile, and I've definitely seen it. We got involved in blockchain in 2017, so from those levels on, and definitely on the marketing side, Wild West is representative. What inspired you guys to first get into blockchain, and then definitely want to look at some of the drivers for NFTs, and some of the projects that you guys were able to pinpoint and said, hey, we should do this for Cheese Token. But first, it was building a community, and I know that community makes everything move.
Right.
And putting it on an ERC20 token, and as you said, you wanted to learn the Web 3.0 world. But what made the tokenomics make sense? What made this all worthwhile? Where you said, "Hey, we're going to put this on the blockchain."
For me, it was to understand the whole ecosystem of like what the blockchain's all about and the authentication, right? And for me, when something's really kind of complex and really high level to think about, and when they get into the nodes and stuff like that, sometimes that's when I fall off. Like I'm not the super tech dev on that side. But when I can like bring myself to my 8th grade mind and say this makes sense, that's when I'm in. If that find the kid in me, and then when the kid says, "Oh yeah, this is cool. I love this. How do we mess around in this sandbox? This is rad." Mm-hmm. And I think that's the same way with John. Like we're both, like when we get together, it's like, we're just goofing around, screaming and yelling at each other like two little kids in a playground. Totally. And that, we've been doing that for 25 years, so it's like we felt like, oh, this is a cool little sandbox to start messing around in.
And not only that too, like for me too, on my end, this is sort of opening up avenues for not only this project, but I've got, tons of clients that are looking to integrate blockchain integration with their e-commerce store, with whatever they're doing. So it's allowing me to sort of like branch out and do that for some of the nonprofits. And, so there's companies that are interested in, like I talked to a client today that's interested in maybe minting a token for themselves for their company and their use. So it's been a nice little stepping stone for me to sort of learn about it and use it and integrate it. And like my buddy Rick, who helped us create the Cheese Token, he's the blockchain guy who's like deep in it. And what's interesting is like Sean and I have a design sense and sort of a back-end coding sense. And it's nice to sort of make sense of them both, because, you can put out tokens all day long, but if they don't look good, if they don't have the right message, if they don't have the right marketing, then you're just not going to get anything out of it. So I think, Sean and I have a pretty cool approach that way with the creative and the back end. And, we've got developers that are on our team that are helping us, create our utilities and all that. So for me, it's been a great learning experience. And from what I can see, it's the wave of the future. Sean sends me TikToks. He's West Coast, I'm East Coast. So I'm getting texts at like 3 a.m. about watch this guy, watch that guy. And so it's kind of interesting to see where things are going. People think that, your mortgage will be on the blockchain, your license will be on the blockchain because they're all one of one. I thought that was pretty interesting. So, it's just all pretty cool.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we've had the same experience learning more and more about the applications, the use cases.
Yeah, totally.
What about the audience? Like, how have you guys been able to build the community around the Cheese Token? Again, want to get more into the NFTs next. Yep. But just those initial groundswells of users for the utility token.
Well, what it was when we started this, I was a part of a couple of other tokens that sort of, made a little bit of a wave and then just sort of faded out and then sort of morphed into another token. And we had an interesting opportunity. For some reason, it didn't quite work out because I think that, we were going to partner with this, this service called Cash or Trade, which is a very cool, face value ticket company here in Burlington, Vermont. And it just sort of, the Cheese Token and them, we just had the same sort of, ideas and morals about this and that. And it was a good fit. It didn't work out for whatever reason. It may work out in the future, but I think people are just getting into this in this industry. More and more people are becoming familiar with it. Like Sean's part of another group. What was that called? Halfway to the Moon, Sean?
Halfway to the Moon. So when we were, and this is a prime example of like finding our audience, right? Because it's like finding the right audience where it's just not, when they come into their token, they're not just looking to
pump and dump.
We've got our core friends that have been in there and held, and we've got, our liquidity is at like, I think 60 or 70,000. So we've got our core friends that have been in there and held, but it went up and down, and it's gone up and down. But I think we define your true core. We're kind of feeling in the music industry, and even like, when we were talking to all these different bands and promoters, like large promoters and, like really large and big festival promoters, it was just too much education that we had to give them to try to close any kind of projects or deals. So that's when we kind of switched, like, okay, let's not worry about so much about our audience right now. Let's just build our utility. Let's build our poster project. Let's just do it and show them the way, as opposed to try to say, let's build this for you guys. So that's that's our path right now, is finding the audience. Like, we had a Telegram. We felt that Telegram was a little too many just folks in there that were just in there to buy and sell and robots and all kinds of stuff. So we were like, all right, let's move this over to the NFT token space in the Discord. So we're slowly starting to build up our Discord. Discord is new to both John and I. We realized that building that community is a lot of education with, I think, the core group of fan base that we're really familiar with. And so what John was saying, like with Halfway to the Moon, we're just seeing it's a Facebook group that is kind of Grateful Dead and Fish centric, and they're all into crypto trading. It's slowly growing, and it just keeps growing, 20 new users a day, 50 new users. So as we see that progression and grow, we're starting to realize, like, okay, our fan base in this like jam band scene, music scene, so to speak, is slowly getting into it. We know, like, for example, in the hip hop scene and some of the, those types of music genres, they're a little bit more advanced.
Sean, point in cases when we launched our cheese token and we were sort of like going after partners, they weren't really sure what to say or what to do, or they didn't really want to commit to it because they didn't really understand it. So we had that sort of like pull back right from the beginning, because we were like, no, we want to support you. We want you to be a sponsor here, so we can help support you with what we're doing. And they didn't quite get it, but the two people building Beats and Dance Safe got right on board, and we've already sent them donations, which is great. So people are slowly starting to understand it and see what it can do for them and all that. Yeah,
we've sent out, like, the first month it went out, and we had a really good, upward momentum, and then we got back into the dev. And then, a lot of it too is our energy towards this space is also, you can follow the ebb and flow of the crypto, Bitcoin and Ethereum, right?
Sure.
So it's like,
carry on that traction.
So you can see, like, and then we both have our day jobs. So this has been our nightly, you know what I mean? So it's been a good experience all around for trying to, we've given out over 4,000 or 5,000 in to nonprofits, which is great. And so when we built our utility with our token, we really enjoyed. A lot of folks were saying, we really love your tokenomics. That's what's called, tokenomics. So, we're going to keep true to those tokenomics. When we start selling our NFT, we're going to start pushing money towards the token as well. So we're, trying to keep that ecosystem and see how it works. Ideally, we want to get to a point where if you're buying the cheese token and you want to purchase something with your cheese token, and whether it's our posters or whether it's our partners posters or partners collectible, you're going to get a discount because you own cheese. So that's just kind of like our model of trying to figure out exactly what it is. So every week's a pivot, Jason.
Sure.
It's like we're always pivoting, we're always learning, we're always looking for new strategic partners on it.
Yeah.
And so it's, this is this Wild West that we're living, it's a bucking bull, right? And
sounds like it. And you're mentioning strategic partners. You said working with a lot of the musicians, you want to show them the way versus try to sell them on why. they should be doing it with you. Jonathan, you were also talking about how some different genres of artists have been able to hop right on. Others have needed more education around it. Yep. What do those partnership discussions look like? I mean, hearing what you guys are doing with the crypto chunks and, Snoop, Lizza, Jason Fishman, across the board, are you seeing a lot of partnership opportunities? I imagine it's a space that people just want to get involved with.
So right now, as far as the artists that we've done the crypto chunks, no. Part of our marketing campaign is going to be like, if you're a musician, you got to go through this email. You get vetted. You're going to give us we're going to talk about what those percentages are that look like on your end. We're shelving it. We're selling the product, and for us, it's like build it and then they'll come, right? Like we're just going to go ahead and build it and then they'll come. The way that our narrative that we've kind of put together with crypto chunks is very basically to say, okay, we've created a crypto chunk of you as a musician. You should feel like you've been honored. This is your star on the Hall of Fame. This is your entrance to the Rock Hall of Fame. You've just been chunked. Welcome to the metaverse. Let's go. So that's kind of like the way we're looking at it. Where we've talked to some folks that are in some large recording industry and what have you, and then they're like, well, what's going to be your vetting for doing it? And I'm like, well, he's like, how are you going to, there's going to be musicians that want to be chunked. How are you going to deal with that? I'm like, I'll let you know when we get there. Right. And so, so that's kind of what our, idea is with the crypto chunks is just to build these characters, get them dialed in, get them, sell a bunch of them, raise some money for some music and nonprofits, and just have fun with the whole experience. Whether we take these characters into the metaverse, get them playing concerts in the metaverse, and then just everyone's, all kinds of creative and imagination we can add to these characters for sure.
Sure. And as you're putting this together, what have been the biggest different stories you've looked at for NFTs that have accelerated your development towards this? Where have you said, hey, look at what's happening over here. We need to create crypto chunks. Right. And what are some of the goals around the NFTs as a whole? What's the big picture game here?
What really got me was the serum with the apes a few weeks back, right? Like, when that came out, I'm like, wow. So one of the things we chatted about, John and I chatted about, okay, when we sign that artist on the dotted line, maybe that's like, we have that serum happens. Like once the artist, once Snoop Dogg's officially online and you own Snoop Dogg crypto chunks, then we do something like that. Like that kind of experience would be really fun to do. Whether it's all of a sudden the chunk completely melts down, you put him in a frying pan, he melts down, and it just turns into the Snoop character that is his, crypto chunk, so to speak. So we're not sure. The creativity is, that's a really cool thing about it. Our imaginations are really able to go in all kinds of interesting directions with it. And as we build a community and we keep building a community, we're going to allow the community kind of direct it. That's the other thing. That's the one thing I've seen by a lot of these different projects out there is the community starts to drive it. And that's what's really cool. I really feel like that, once we get a really good, solid community, their ideas are going to be really, we're going to listen, We're going to listen.
Yeah, and the communities are driving at 1,000,000 miles an hour, it feels like. And seeing it in NFTs and different than in cryptocurrency, which moves fast enough on its own, seeing the extensions on Twitter and Discord and all the different communications that are happening around it to build the hype, build the excitement. A lot of it I've actually seen championed by musicians, different artists. That's why I'm so excited about what you guys are doing, because I understand that potential there. It's been remarkable to see how fast everything moves.
Oh, it's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, there's new projects launching every day, and we're trying to figure out, what's making them so successful? Like, is it the thousands and thousands of dollars they're spending on marketing? Like, what are they doing? What's the artwork look like? How are they being minted? We have conversations every other day about this stuff. And so it's definitely a learning curve, but luckily we've got some guys behind us that, know the industry and some really good marketing folks that are going to help us market when we're ready. It takes a big team. It's like, it just takes a huge team. And like I said, we have day jobs too. So, if I could do this 24/7, I would love it. I mean, this has been fun for me. Designing it's been fun. Being the creative with Sean, working with him. I mean, him and I used to go see fish shows together. So it's been a nice little change of pace for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think you guys are positioned well, likely going to be the day job at some point here. Maybe that the community gets busier and the way they're participating. Yep. But excited to see where you guys go next and where the whole metaverse, as you were pointing out there, what it looks like in 2022, 2023 later.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And in terms of building it, and speaking to the audience a bit here, a lot of founders listen in, some that are building their own NFT projects. Yeah. What type of recommendations do you have? What should they test out in terms of product development, in terms of creative and overall brand fit?
Well, here's something I kind of see. I mean, I'm seeing kind of a trend because there's been a lot of different rug pulls with projects and stuff. I think it's going to be really crucial to get your face out there early in the next few months. And I think that's going to be the trend because right now it feels like there's a lot of these just, closet projects and no one knows who they are. Or there's just a name behind it or this or that, and it's just no face. I think it's going to be, the faces are going to have to come out of the woodwork, so to speak, to start talking about their projects in order for that mainstream confidence to really happen. And I think that's going to be really key to the success of the NFT market, as well as any kind of crypto projects, is kind of have to, get out here and do events like this with, podcasts and that's just my one kind of thought seeing. And, John, what's your thoughts on it all as far as the...
I mean, I kind of agree with you. I mean, we sort of hop in, Clubhouse here and there, and, this whole thing is new to me too. Like we've been learning, we've had dev people commit to us, get halfway through the project and sort of bail on it. And so, you just have to vet who you're working with and be careful of who you put on your team and look for loopholes in the code and make sure that, you own your wallet and it's connected to your wallet and, all the basic stuff I think people sort of think about when they're getting into this, just because they don't want the rug pulled out from underneath them. Yeah. We're trying to be honest. I mean, I've been living in Vermont, being a graphic designer, web developer for 20 years. And so, I want to put as much honest work and effort in my face on this project as I do my own business. And I'm sure Sean does too. And so that's why we're sort of doing this on the up and up, not trying to fucking scam the IRS and do this and do that. So, we've made this a company, we've got, checking accounts, we've done it all right. And so we're sort of doing it right from the start and sort of not moving 100 miles a minute, and doing it as we go. We've thought about it. It's taking almost a year. And that's just the pace that we want to work at. I don't feel like we're missing the boat. I think if you do it right and you do the marketing right and you get everything done right, the project will take off. So that's the approach that we've been taking. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. Follow the rules.
Exactly. It's like that, and that's a hard part because I've talked to my accountant about it. Sean's talked to his accountant, and I'm very honest with it. I got into Bitcoin and Ethereum like everybody else did, but I'm not sitting here trying to go to prison because of this. And I know people. We had people sort of comment on the cheese token that we made and saying, that's like selling securities and blah, 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 blah. So, we're on the up and up. We're not trying to hide, which is kind of nice. So it adds a personal touch to the project too. Yeah.
As Sean was saying, put your face on it. Yeah. That's what's going to drive more widespread adoption because of that trust and seeing the groups that are different, that are involved.
Yep.
What if the rug is pulled out? Or what if just whatever you're trying first isn't working? What's the best way to optimize? And I'm sure you guys have done some optimizations, looking at cheese token, even adding the crypto chunks.
Well, the best way to do it is to spend $29,000 a month on marketing. That'll do it. At least that's what they say in London, anyway.
So one of the things that we did just learn, and we really so first of all, our NFTs that we're launching, we launched and we thought we had a great way to launch on OpenSea, and we're sticking with Ethereum, even though we're waiting for the gas fees. And you know that's been another thing that's kind of slowed down our project, is just being in that Ethereum kind of model right now with the gas fees. And so we know that's going to get flushed out, or we just we pray every night it does, right? Us and everyone else.
Yeah.
And so one thing that we did learn, which would be, food for thought for understanding launching a lot of NFTs, is creating, and we're in the middle of doing this right now, is creating a situation where, all of our NFTs are created, are unique, right? In the sense that we're not doing the generative art of coming out with 10,000 of them, all of us, out of the blue, by creating just different artistic attributes, like different classes or what have you, like a lot of the bigger ones are. And so what we really found was interesting, as opposed to when we launched them and we actually took them down, is we're creating a way of actually minting them. So making sure you're protecting your community so that the whales can't come in and just buy everything up. Because they will if they like the project. And if they come and buy everything up, they can, the whales can end up kind of owning your company in a sense. So we wanted to create an environment where we give everyone the opportunity to like get a chunk. So we're doing our first crypto chunk release is a thing called the Uno Chunk project. And that's basically, we're taking Uno cards, and then we're putting the actual entertainer like Snoop Dogg on red, yellow, green, blue, reverse, wild. And that way, to collect them, the more you collect the Uno chunks of that all the way through on Snoop Dogg, that kind of gives you more power, so to speak, or, we're able to up level. So learning how to mint properly and launch was one thing that we learned in this whole experience, was just being able to have that Web3 integrated. So I think that's something to, let newer folks that are getting ready to just launch on some of these platforms, is be mindful of your community and how you want, throwing it all out there and allowing them to just buy sometimes might not be the best route.
It just won't work. Yeah, it just doesn't work. It's got to feel rare. It's got to feel like, if someone comes to our site and mints an NFT, they're minted on the fly, so you don't know what you're going to get, versus just putting out 19 of this and 18 of that and 4 of that for somebody to come in and just buy them. It just doesn't work that well. So now,
especially for our Uno collection, because the idea is we want their community to start trading. Like, I got a Lizzo red and you got a Snoop Dogg green. I'll trade you, and you want Lizzo and I want Snoop, so maybe we could do a trade. And so that's the idea too, is we want people to be, creating a trading environment and kind of collecting the music artists that they're into. So
it'll take a lot for me to trade my Snoop Dogg green, but I get
it.
Yeah,
and yes. So we're trying to have fun and trying to create that gamifying experience at the same time. And, so if, Mattel comes knocking on the door, we're like ready for them too, And
not only that, but once we get through that sort of aspect, we want to do the angel versions where artists that have passed away, they're going to have rare NFTs where they're going to have angel wings on them. So, we're not going to tell people when those are available. Those are just going to be minted along with the other Unos. So if you mint a bunch of NFTs and you get a Jim Morrison green and an Elvis blue, but then you're going to get a Biggie Smalls wild with wings because he's deceased. That's the type of aspect that we're going, and that's the way we're going to gamify it like that.
Sure. And seeing what other NFTs are doing right now, some price tags, the Ethereum that they're going for.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, the floors on some of these.
I don't really get it. I mean, you know, I'll be honest. I've purchased a few NFTs and I own a few, and some of the ones like the which one's the punks with the fucking 3D glasses on. Like that guy is worth like 8 million or something like that. I don't get it. I try to understand it, but I mean, that doesn't really do anything. You don't really earn anything. I just think it's just one of those projects that had great marketing and a great Discord, and people just, they didn't want FOMO. They didn't want to miss out, so that's why they got it, and that's why they're where they are. That's what I think happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And now they know, hey, it's going to be worth this much more next year.
Exactly.
I don't care the price tag. I could do it. I'm investing into it.
And I think, you know, this generation that's coming up that are doing all this and being a part of this, that are thinking like this, they're coming from such an interesting past and what they've seen. And it's just like, you know, and it's so interesting to see that whole, what their journey is too with all of this. So it's really fun being a part of that really youthful journey that's out there with these kids and how they're doing it.
Because we're not very youthful. Sean and I are, you know.
It's hilarious. These kids are it's like no one wants to work at McDonald's anymore because they're flipping JPEGs. I love it. Like, how can you not love a society that's
Good one, Sean. Flipping JPEGs, that's great.
You know? So it's just like they're crushing it. And I was just like, how can you not love that? Like the entrepreneurship of these young kids, and they're just the hustle that they have is just it's just you know, it's just awesome to see them, you know, and just seeing it, all of it happen. And, you know, with Clubhouse this winter, you know, past winter, hearing just the energy that they have and the, you know, just the excitement around it is just, it's infectious, you know?
Absolutely. And, you know, looking at all this and where it's going, how do you guys plan to scale? What recommendations do you have for listeners on how to scale? Any success stories, you know, from these projects, from other projects you've been involved with? What are the secrets to scale?
You know, it's hard in this brand new Wild West, right? Like it's really it's really wild because like scaling, we could you know, we're going to release 250 posters at, you know, a pretty hefty price tag, but we feel we're giving a nice, you know, a really good product out. And, you know, it's like, okay, John, if we sell out of our posters in the first week, it's on, you know, it's like we have to reposition our own lives, right? Like, so learning how to have that scale, him and I have been having those talks like, okay, we're going to have to rethink of like what our day-to-day life is. So for us internally, it's just trying to scale from that nightly gig, you know, from that nightly gig becoming our day gig. So for us, that's as simple as the scale has been really, you know, it's just having conversations, him and I, on that kind of
And then once you get to that point, then you can think about the big-time marketing, the big-time influencers, because I think that's what you need to scale. I think that, you know, a lot of these projects have really, really good-looking websites. That's the first thing I look at. But other than that, they don't do anything. They launch these NFTs, and then that's it, and boom, they you know, next month you look there, it's gone. They've taken all the money and they've left. So, you know, we want to scale this properly. We want to make it exciting. Keep putting out NFTs. Keep putting out posters. I think these posters could be really cool collector's items. The way that they've been created. You know, you get an NFT with them, a one-of-a-kind NFT. So that's kind of cool.
Oh, you also get a vote.
And you get a vote of who wins the battle. And our goal with that is there's 250 posters. I'm keeping number 7. I'll buy number 7. Sean's going to buy his. My wife's buying hers. And what happens is whoever wins the battle, the number 1 poster goes to that artist, and the losing number 250 goes to the artist that lost. So we've got contacts that we can send these to, and the best part is once they scan that QR code, now, you know, Mark Cuban and Elon Musk now own the NFTs of themselves boxing, which is, I think, pretty awesome.
Yeah, so our second one is Elon and Mark Cuban battle of the billionaires, and trash talking
shit talkers.
Shitcoin.
Yeah. Shitcoin shit talkers.
Shitcoin shit talkers. That's our second one.
Yeah.
And then as we get going with those, we'll reach to our community as we get that traffic. Like, who do you want to be third? It's like, who do you want for the third edition of the poster? Who's got the beef going right now? Is it Mike Tyson and Logan Paul, or who is it? Right? Like, so our kind of tagline there is, where there's a beef, there's cheese.
And that's great to hear about. We get asked all day, how do we scale? The fact that you guys have that plan put out there and really doing the listening to figure out where it all goes. Again, it's going to be fun to see where everything ends, where everything is projecting the goals that are hit. As we start wrapping the episode here today, we've been able to go over a lot of great things about what you guys are doing, tips for founders. Anything you want to wrap with? Any final notes that you want to emphasize before we wrap?
Yeah, buy a poster.
Buy a poster. I mean,
John,
make you vote.
Yeah, go ahead.
Whatever team you're on, if you're Ethereum or you're Cardano, you get a voice. We get to find out, who's got the battle of the block right now. It's a hot time for both these, guys. So we'll see. Maybe this can be the decider, right?
Sure. I'll be watching, see how those votes turn out. If anyone wants to get in touch with you, I know you've already given us a few URLs to check out, but what's the best way to get in contact?
Twitter's great. Instagram is great. We've got all the social media links on there. We've got our email addresses on our sites too, so any of those will work fine, and we get back to people right away because we are actually human beings and not robots, so we will get back to you for sure.
Love it. Where partnerships are born. Listeners definitely recommend you getting in touch with John and Sean here, keeping the conversation going, buying a poster, as John mentioned, voting, seeing what you can pick up for the crypto chunks. And gentlemen, thanks for joining today. Sean, John, love the stories.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for breaking it all down for us.
Sounds great.
Hey, thanks, Jason. Appreciate you, man.
Cool.
Awesome, guys. Well, we'll see everyone next time. Thanks for tuning in.